can we come to order, please? So welcome to the Conan Town Council July full council meeting. We have got 4 apologies. I think everyone else is here, so we've got apologies from Councillor Chung, Councillor Hurley, Councillor Lord and Councillor Cornish. We are happy to accept those apologies, yes? Item 3 is minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 15th of June. Does anyone have any amendments? Yes, David.
It's just for the items that aren't on the agenda. Updates on number 7, the phone boxes, number 17, the gully cleaning, and the final one, Mr. Lampkin and Alkincoats Park.
Well, we haven't had a reply for 2 of those things.
I can help with the gully cleaning. So you remember that I mentioned about the portfolio holder, County Councillor Charlie Edwards? I got him to come and look, and he said, oh, that just seems ridiculous that you're just letting the stuff that we've scooped out just pile back in again. And I said, at last. He said, I will take it up with the officers. So I've got him to see, and now what we need to do is follow that up. So I wonder, have you already written to him, Naomi? Because it was discussed, wasn't it?
I wrote to them, I was waiting for a reply. I had actually requested the visit in that letter though, because I was instructed to invite them.
I'm glad that you saw. We discussed the block gullies in the town. I didn't get anywhere with that. It's just like report every single one via the app. So I've been doing that. I keep, they're everywhere, aren't they? So I think if we all did that, then we would get there. But it would be lovely to write a follow-up letter to him and to Head of Highways to say, you know, we seem to think, or perhaps just to him, and say, could you take this up with your officers? It was explained. And I'd be happy to sort of look over that letter because, of course, I was there speaking to him.
Are members happy for that to happen? Yeah? Yes?
Is it possible I can get a copy of your original letter that you've sent to him?
I didn't send a letter. Oh, what, ages ago to the Head of Highways?
No. How you got him to come and visit?
We came to visit over work, lots of things.
Okay. Fine. No problem.
Any other questions or amendments on the minutes? No? Can I have a proposer then? David Coburn-Press. Can I have a seconder, please? Howard Thomas. Thank you. All those in favour of the minutes? Thank you. Item 4 is declaration of interest.
I declare an interest in planning item number 6.
Declaring that, Councillor. Right. Item 5 is public forum. We don't seem to have anyone here. We'll go on to item 6, finances. Is there any questions relating to the paper that has items over £1,000? No? Any questions on 6A, which is the remaining bills that we've paid this month? Yes?
Yeah, a question, and sorry I didn't raise it before. On the second to last, the first aid training, the St John ambulance do that as well. And I, from memory, although prices may have gone up, that that just seemed expensive to what you used to pay.
Yes, please.
So what it is we had spare places and we actually let them out, so we've got income to counteract the expenditure on that one. So they were less than that per person.
Are you content with that, Councillor Thomas? Well, can I have a proposer for the schedule of payments, please?
I'll move them.
And Councillor Clamp will second them. Thank you. 6B is to receive a summary of budget, spend and commitments as of 13th of July. Any questions, comments, issues? Yes, David.
Just a quick question, looking at some of the biggish numbers, are we happy with progress and budget, etc., on things like playgrounds and the town hall, which are quite hefty projects on their own?
Jean?
Playgrounds, we do have obviously some that's set aside mainly for retention, so that will be paid October, November, December time, so 12 months after the actual projects were done. And there is obviously a provision in there for development of Hawley Street and Daisy Street. Well, it was more surfacing that we were going to look to replace, so that money that hasn't been done yet, or hasn't been investigated for costs, so obviously that money's still there for that. The town hall, obviously we've had quite a lot of things coming forward for the town hall. Obviously the emergency work that needed doing, we've had the drain pipes that was carried over from last year, and obviously we are also looking at possibly replacing the boilers, so that would be quite a lot that's obviously left that would go, but other than that, everything at the moment is going to plan. There's nothing.
Just a quick follow-up on the playgrounds. I know I've exchanged one or two emails with Naomi about things, and she said there's still vandalism at one or two parks. Is that costing us lots of money or just extreme amounts of hassle?
Sorry. We are still getting substantial vandalism on play areas. Most of it is little minor things. For example, damaging chains on swings. The rubber swing bases, I don't know if they eat them or something, but breaking them up. We have just had to do, I want to say it's about £3,000 worth of repairs on just lots of little bits. It's still the same two play areas that it has been previously. We're just monitoring it now and see where it goes.
Anything else on 6B? Are we all content? Can I have a proposer then, please? David Coburn-Price. And a seconder, please. Kevin, thank you, Kevin. The next item, item 7, emergency work on Conan Hall. This will be a verbal.
As FES are aware, and I think most councillors may be aware, we have had a room that's had water ingress that has developed quite substantially worse in the last 6 weeks, which I know, looking outside, you wouldn't believe it. As a result, part of the ceiling has now collapsed. Under the financial regs and standing orders, we are, for emergency work, able to authorise it. So we've gone with a trusted contractor who's done work on the building before and authorised the work. FES did agree that it was emergency and really needed looking at ASAP. So this is just to notify the council of this and to ask them to ratify that decision. Just if anyone does want to see it, it's the corner office down there, and I'm quite happy to show you at the end of the meeting if you are wanting to see that. But just if we can move that forward, then I can get the contract. Well, the contractors are already scheduling the works.
Move we confirm that.
All those in favour of getting the work done? Thank you. Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. There's 3 options, but it hasn't been to a blues working group. So if we discuss this and have a proposal, I think perhaps it should go to the next blues working group. Well, we've got the 3 proposals. You can see them here. On the second page, 13, 14 and 15. Yes, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. I think to make a decision tonight is premature, because Well, we've very little idea of what the state of play is going to be later in the year. It's quite likely that with just let that noisy car go past, with the figures rising as they are, it may be that, and the talk that there is of people not being allowed into certain venues unless they've got, in inverted commas, COVID passports and goodness knows what. I think the right thing to do is, as you say, put it to a blues. I can't remember whether we actually appointed one at the annual meeting. So perhaps what we ought to do is appoint the one that was. Can't appoint the one that was appointed last year, but you know what I mean. That reconvene the one that was in place last year that probably only met twice, if that. To look at all the options that there are. I think we can go ahead with it as has been. We can concentrate on maybe just having one venue or two venues. But I think there are lots of things and implications that we need to go through. And I don't think without sitting down and looking at it thoroughly, we can make the decision tonight. So I'll somewhere.
14, please.
Yes, that we defer it till decision until September, and in the meantime have a convene a meeting of the Blues working group if we're allowed to do that. Looking at you to the town clerk.
Can I just say, I think also, the bid, we don't know, it may be a wonderful, marvellous thing that they get going, and all the hostelries and restaurants, and might be wonderful. And then we might not need to do very much. But I think we need to see how they go on first, and how if there's any problems with them, or, so after the bank holiday weekend, I don't think we can't second guess what it's going to be like, really. That's my view anyway.
In regards to the Blues Working Group, it would need to go to FES first, because they had the original delegated authority to sort the budgets and the bit behind it. So we could take it to September's FES to then sort the working group, because that will be after the August bank holiday, so they'll have a better idea of how they ran it, which I believe is what the chair was saying.
Through you.
Sorry.
If it went to August, at least it'd be in place. So, right, yeah, because if it goes to FES, it's only a fortnight before the next council. Because it's only a matter of rubber stamping it, I think.
Is that a proposal?
Yeah, that we go to the next.
Second that, Sarah.
Sorry, we're going to really struggle to do that, because Gina's actually on annual leave as of next week.
Struggle to do what?
To get any figures or anything for FES.
Chair, we don't want any figures. Oh, I thought you said that the Blues Working Group was established by FES.
Sorry. The Blues Working Group would have to be established at full council, the next full council, which is August. FES have the delegated budgetary authority. So I've put it on my list for items for the next month's agenda for the working group in the terms of reference, so they can be approved at full council, and then September's FES can look at the figures, if that's...
I just think we should get the steps going as soon as we can, so that we can... It just seems an unnecessary delay. That probably means October or November before we make some actual progress. I'm just trying to move things along a bit.
Councillor Mann.
I'm just trying to get my head around what's being proposed. Can we not just meet as a Blues committee without having to go to another meeting in order just to thrash out some of the the ideas that we've got on the recommendations, or is that just not possible because it's got to go through committees?
The working group could meet, but it would be completely unofficial and have no impact on the council. They couldn't have a comment on it because you haven't got the terms of reference approved, because at the May meeting you wanted to defer that till later in the year because we didn't know what was going on. So you would need to agree as an agenda item a working group of who's in attendance and the terms of reference for that working group.
Could we not do it unofficially? Could just not meet? And I don't know. Well, were you proposing that, Howard, or what?
No, I was proposing we delay a decision to September, but get the working group going as soon as we can. Now, if August council, waiting a month is the best we can do, well, that's the best we can do. There's nothing to stop us talking amongst ourselves before then, so that when it comes to August and we've got an official working group, we go through it then.
So do we put it on the agenda for the September meeting and have an informal chat about it before then?
I think it's that if we put the working group membership and the terms of reference on the August meeting, then you could meet after that full council and it'd be a formal discussion sort of on it. It would probably be a good idea for FES to look at it in September as well, to review the budgets as well, and then it can all come back to September's full council for a decision. Would that work?
Well, yeah, can I ask officers just to find a way where this can happen, please? Okay.
May I propose this right now? Should we propose it?
With the addition that an item's on the next. Yeah.
Item 9, that's Conan Master Plan Steering Group. To consider who should represent Conan Town Council and the Pendle Borough Council Conan Master Plan Steering Group. How many, is it 2 people? Two people. Have I got any proposals?
Can I propose, sorry.
Yes.
We'd like to propose Mark Chung. He expressed an interest to us, but we appreciate he's not here.
You want to, well, Councillor Mann.
I was going to propose Councillor Lord.
Right. Proposals for two members, so we're going to have to vote on it, I think. So we've got the first one was Councillor Chung. Can people vote if they would like Councillor Chung to be on this working group?
Chair, just to make it a little bit easier, with my colleagues over there, could we have one from each side? It'd be easier and fair.
Chair, no, that would not be fair. At the Cone and District Committee, I'll use the same word, colleagues opposite voted en masse for their own people.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want to do it because you've got 2 seats? Do you want to go through and do the first seat, vote for all of them, and then the second one, because they'll all get 2 votes? That might work easier.
I think just as a point for Howard, Cone area, of course, is 8 Conservatives and 1 Lib Dem, so any pro-rating there doesn't quite work, whereas 10 or 9 Liberal Democrats and 7 Conservatives does rather mean 1 each.
In terms of the overall committee, it doesn't, so there we go.
Right, we've had a proposal from Councillor Clamp for Councillor Howard Thomas. So we'll take that one first. All those in favour of Councillor Thomas? Right, I think that's... And there was also Councillor Clegg. So all those in favour of Councillor Clegg?
Sorry, could you keep your hands up? 6, 7, 8. Okay.
And we've got, well, Councillor Lord isn't here, but that's her name's been proposed. So all those in favour of Councillor Lord? Right, so that means that Councillor David Clegg and Councillor Howard Thomas will be our representative on the Colne Master Plan Steering Group. That'd be the Conan District Committee.
No, it was the steering group.
It was the steering group. Right. The next item is Conan District Committee Co-Optees. And that's just one person.
Can I move, Chair, that it be the Chair of the Council and as a substitute the Vice Chair if the Chair is unable to go, which has been practice pretty much since our inception. That's the word I'm looking for.
Can somebody second that if they're happy with it? Alice, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, thank you. Item 11 is Alkin Coates Park Working Group Terms of Reference. Is there any questions on these terms of reference, members? Yes, David.
In terms of paragraphs 2, 3 and 4 about co-opting people, I know we had this on another, was it the neighbourhood plan one, who can vote and things. Now, I understand paragraph 2 about co-opting people from 2 organisations. Then it says we can co-opt anybody else. And then it says non-councillors may be invited. These persons do not have a right to vote. So that means that all the people in para 2 and 3 can't vote. That's what we're saying. Right. Okay, understand. Over the page, you use APWG a lot. Para 8, you've got working group with a capital W. Para 12, you've got working group, lowercase everything. You've got APWGs all over the place again. And then 17 and 18, it's groups and working groups.
Just replace all.
So I just, just make life simple, keep it consistent. Other than that, it all makes sense. I'll second it.
Are we happy with that? Yeah, take that recommendation. Again, I'll need a proposer.
I think
So, yes, and a seconder.
I'll second.
John? Jonathan? Right, item 13 is Colne Town Council Policy Review. Now, I do apologise in this because there's a lot of them. They all have to be proposed and seconded. So shall we start off with the Alkin Coats, allotments allocation policy?
So these have all come from the relevant committees.
So these have all been to the committees, so they're happy with them. Brian, are you happy to propose that? Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Alice. The next one is all those in favour. Right, the second one, B, is livestock consents policy.
I'll propose that.
Thank you, Alice. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Brian. All those in favour? Yes. Well, hang on. Right, what's the next one? Tree policy. I think we're going to defer that, are we not? Yes.
I think we should send a little note of thanks to Lee. Talked for quite a while. Because he's a star, isn't he? And everything that he's put there is his expert help.
Yeah. Perhaps do all members know that Sarah contacted Lee and showed him the policy, and he had quite a few good ideas and things that might should be changed. So we thought it would be better. Yeah.
I'll bring that back to the next meeting.
Bring that back to the next meeting. Right. Climate change focus small grants policy.
Move it, Chair.
Yeah. Can I have a seconder?
I'll check that.
Thank you, Neil. All those in favour? I'm sorry about this.
It's going to get more the bigger we are.
The next one is loan working policy. Are we all happy with this? If so, can I have a proposal, please?
I'll propose it.
And someone could second that? Okay, thank you, David. Councillor Clare. Yes, Sarah.
I buttonholed Pat in town on Saturday and had a little chat about this, because to me, this is fundamentally flawed, and I ask you to reconsider this. Let's lay to one side what I think about the ugliness of plastic benches. Let's take that off the table and just talk about the harm that it would do to our conservation areas. We have a lot of benches, not all of them ours, in our conservation areas. So at the very, very least, we should have a separate policy for our conservation areas to make sure that the benches chosen are compliant, in the right colours and the right look. Because we don't want, when we're putting a load of effort into our town, to spoil it. We've just done a Levelling Up Fund grant of £7 million, which is essentially in the centre of Cone for the heritage. Please don't pass this policy of plastic benches for conservation areas. And I read all the stuff, and Naomi, I'm not having a go at you. It's all there saying, oh, we've got to be prudent. Do you not write it? Who wrote it? Eugene.
Sorry, it was something the council did say they wanted to use recycled plastic.
Yeah,
now.
I know.
For as prettier ones as we
I know, but they're just like brown plastic. I'm thinking, if they're going to be plastic, let's celebrate the plastic. Let's have them in purple. Let's have them in ruby starlight. I just feel that we should want to beautify this town, and sometimes it does go beyond money. You know, when the people stole, whichever people, criminals, stole our serpent benches from By Whitesides, they stole them because they were beautiful. And while that's really irritating, the serpent benches, we've got some over there.
They stole them to weigh it in.
I know.
Sorry.
Well, okay. But they are really beautiful, so much so that Tim Webber wrote to me, because I said, oh, we've got some in the basement of the town hall, and Trawden had some too. Tim Webber wrote to me and said, oh, they're just the thing that we need for North Light Mill. Could you sell them to us? And I said, no, the Cones benches didn't even pass the offer on to you, which is probably wrong of me. Because I just feel that we just need to protect this and think about it. And actually, things have a lifespan. And that lifespan could be annoying. It could be like cast iron downpipes are annoying to Naomi. This roof is annoying to this council. But it's splendid. If we were to start again, we would operate from an industrial estate in a metal shed. And we wouldn't have the vision of our Victorian forefathers. But we have this town with all of its faults and bits of it dropping off. I'm looking here at Exchange Business Centre and the Exchange Street School and old buildings and old towns. They have problems. They do. Old materials have problems. But don't we celebrate them and love them? And shouldn't we love some wooden benches with the same imperfections? Not just in conservation areas, but actually elsewhere too? Shouldn't we have beautiful benches?
Got Neil that wants to speak next.
I don't agree with Sarah totally. I do agree that in a conservation area we should have the right benches. We're going to wreck it for a bit of plastic. Plastic everywhere else, they look fine to me. They're not as good for weighing in, but you know, they're fine to me. I don't care that we don't have them anywhere else apart from in the conservation area, because it matters. You know, if we're saying we want it to stay, we want it to stay, and that includes benches. And that's why I said it's, you know, it's a shame to spoil it.
Did this go to FES? Right.
Yeah, nobody mentioned conservation areas at FES.
I said I didn't like plastic at all, but then, as you say, I didn't draw the distinction on conservation areas, no.
I think that was probably a mistake.
I think if we lived in an ideal world with an ideal, unending, deep pocket full of gold coins, we'd probably get gold-plated benches and put them about. But I think there is a point of people have said for the conservation areas. But there's forever arguments between, oh, you can't do that because it's not the heritage. I bet in about when was this built? 1890 something. I bet in 1880 something, when they were discussing the plans, someone was saying, "Oh, I don't like that. It don't go with stuff back from Georgian era." So you know, we've got to be careful, and you know, we have to remember that we haven't got this never-ending pot of money. But I think looking at it for sensitive places in conservation areas, it's worth tacking that on, or at least sending it back to FES with costs and prices and designs, because I can't remember that they were there in the... But anyway, but I think we just need prices for comparison, and I seem to remember, again, from the report, I didn't print it off again, that the plaques that we're proposing were relatively vandal-proof. I can't remember what they were called. They had some strange description, if someone can help me on that. But I think it's a kind offer from Councillor Butterworth, but if the ones we've got are vandal-proof, or as vandal-proof as you can get nowadays, but it's worth remembering that offer's there.
Councillor Mann.
Yeah, I agree with Pat and Sarah, not in the conservation area. But one of the reasons we went for plastic benches was the recycling aspect. These benches are made out of old bottles, I think, plastic bottles. So that's something else to consider. We might not want to go down the route of black. We might want to be a bit more adventurous in different parts of the town, be a bit quirky. I know that certain cities have cows everywhere that they go and have a look at and that sort of thing. So, we could be quirky in different areas of our town, but not in the consolation area.
Well, there's obviously a move by this council that we don't want to have plastic in the conservation area. Is that a more or less a unanimous view, do we think? Yeah. So we'll have to try to find a way to sort that out. There is a solution, but that would be to not have any memorial benches in the conservation area if it proves too much. I don't know, but I think we'll send it back to FES.
Yes,
and
sorry, Chair, I'll speak to the conservation officer and see what her thoughts are. It might be that we just say no memorial benches within the conservation area, because then you are protecting that element of it, and we have plenty of benches in other places that people could.
But then, of course, we've got to have a policy for replacing the benches as time passes in the conservation area. So I think that needs to be considered. And I think that's a point about the plastic benches. If they're plastic benches, let's celebrate the plastic. Let's have them in funky colours then, if they're in other parts of town. Let's not try to make them look like wood when they're not wood, is what I'm saying. Oh.
If I may, the council had made the decision on what benches we were to use when replacing them. And it was within the last 6 months, so it would be a change in policy on that one. Because we've been instructed as officers to do... We'd been instructed to do that as officers, so we have purchased a few to replace the stolen ones.
Where was it decided? At the full council? Yeah, all right. Okay. Councillor Clamp.
We're actually replacing at this moment in time with a plastic bench, if you remember, next to the children's play area in Conan. We agreed to make a space so that the dog owners could actually sit and watch their children play without taking their dog into the play area, and that is recon plastic. We better own up as a bowling club with my other hat on, because we've just replaced 3 of the tables at the side of the cafe with plastic tables, and they look very good. The only reason the plastic is that when we're considering our tender to replace, we're going to do 2 benches actually, disabled ones. It was £680 for steel ones like the one we've got. When we got round to actually going out to do the job, those benches were £2,080 for the steel benches, and when we went for the recon plastic, we got 3 for the price of 2, and we've actually put 3 tables there and lengthened the disabled path. So I understand in dues, but in parks I also have to say, long before we came along, Pendle Council weren't putting wooden benches in the park, they were putting plastic benches in the park for at least the last 3 years, because we have them round our bowling green.
Sarah?
I think over time, virtually everything I've seen Pendle Council do shows that they've had no soul. Possibly you could say that they're urban vandals. Let's hope that that changes. We can hope. Just a word of caution. They have these in Trawden, and the children there have found that they make wonderful BMX obstacles. So they have become the centre of nuisance cycling, and as a result, the slats, I noticed that there's a 25-year guarantee. I think that's just as well, because the slats of the Trawden ones have given up the ghost after just a few months of this heavy-duty BMX biking over the plastic benches.
Where are they in Trawden?
They're next to the community centre.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Well, we've got a proposal that we won't use them in the heritage conservation area if possible. So that must be noted.
Chair?
Yeah.
Would you like me to speak to the Conservation Officer about options for benches in the conservation area? But for the moment, for the memorial benches, we'll just say not to do any memorial benches.
Not to do any within the conservation area for the moment, if we were to amend the policy to that, and then we can look at a separate policy for conservation area work. Would that work, councillors?
Yeah.
Cover. So if we put an amendment in the policy that says that, are you happy? And then we will work on a separate policy for conservation benches.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just clarify? Are we saying that we can't change our mind in the future about the colours of the benches? Have they all been ordered, or can we at some point change our minds to get them a little bit quirkier?
Answer that, whether they've been ordered and paid for.
The ones that we were required to replace have been ordered and paid for. It was the council's decision for a specific colour and design of bench. It would be something that the council could change their mind on in the future. It would have to come back and be another policy decision on it. If you wanted to change it in less than 6 months of that decision being made, I would require 3 councillors in writing to request it as a review of the decision.
Everybody clear on that? Yeah? Yeah. Item 14 is the Conan neighbourhood. So we're all right with that policy, with that amendment about the conservation area? Yeah, okay. You proposed it, Howard? All right.
Propose it, we've got a second.
Can somebody second it for the minutes? Okay. All those in favour? Right, so that's that. Right, item 14 is Conan Neighbourhood Plan. It says to receive an update on the progress for the Conan Neighbourhood Plan. Now, I know we've not got anything in writing, so I've asked Gina if she can, when she gets the minute, when you've said the minutes are okay, that she can send them round to everybody.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a record of, but if you want to...
Yeah, I'll be really, really speedy, because you're about to receive Gina's excellent minutes. Essentially, we focus down on the bits that still need to be finished, and that includes the viability. I'm chivying to silence, aren't I, Gina? Trying there, tweaking and making perfect the long-range views analysis, setting up and organising the detailed population of the design guide and knowing what it's for, which is supplementary design advice. And also I received help with all the addresses and postcodes that Gina's going to send out this week for the non-designated heritage assets. And as soon as we have moved forward with the viability, we hope then that the final tweaking of the policies so that we're ready for 15 will carry on. But I was asked in the meeting, when will the viability be ready? And I said, we're not paying these people. They are doing it, really, because we won a sort of competitive bid for it. So it's not like the long-range views analysis lady where we said, this must be ready at such a time, and we will pay you. It's not a transaction like that. So all we can do is try charming them and begging them and so on. But I'm going on one of these sort of webinar-y things with our main viability chap, Dave Chapman, in early August. And I will hope to try and use that, and I will carry on writing. So we are closing in on the gap filling. I don't know whether anybody's got any questions. Just to clarify, my car's died, so I actually couldn't get anywhere again without his help.
I think, Chair, oh, never touched it. I think, you know, depending on where it is, not where it is, I know where it is, when it is, you know, if I'm available, I will tag along.
Same with me. It's just, if it was say 7 o'clock in an evening, I could probably do it. I might not be able to come every time, but I would try and come. Yeah. Anybody else? No.
I think the point is that what we do is we run a campaign on our social media channels, perhaps do a press release and say, come on, Coners, this is your opportunity. It's not just about councillors doing this, it's about loads of people doing this, because we could all walk from the bottom of the high street to the top and ask to spot things, and do you know what? None of us would spot the same things at all. And it's just many pairs of eyes looking at things, picking things up, noting things that need fixing, and it's those sort of fresh pair of eyes, and I think we need to get the people of Cone with us on it.
Are you expecting Cone Town Council's website to do it and the Facebook page?
Yeah, I think we should run a campaign and sort of, you know, I don't know, and ask, perhaps run a poll and say, which parts of Cone would you focus on? Not just the high, because Treasure of Our Town was never about the high street. It was always about the peripheral bits that nobody really gave a lot of attention to. But perhaps we should include the town centre now, because Pendle Borough Councils no longer do their town walk for some reason. So perhaps we should do that, and let's ask people and get them engaged with us.
Is everybody okay with that or not?
You could always ask the chair of the Con committee why they don't do it.
Naomi's just reminded me that it won't start until we get our new employee. And is it May to September? When does it run?
We of course have got to agree on times and dates, and you know, the people that are interested, and perhaps that's the thing that we also engage the public with. You know, when would you like to do this? So historically, we've always done it just before this meeting, but it doesn't have to be then. Could be a Saturday, could be a Tuesday afternoon, could be all kinds of times. I don't know. Let's see what times are best suited for new employee and consult on it.
I wouldn't have thought a Saturday would be, a weekend would be, if he's, you know, working just so many hours during the week.
It's 2 hours they've got allocated for it a month from.
We only ever did 1 hour of walking to make it the most non-onerous thing ever, because actually litter picking for 2 hours, in the end you do get fatigue with it. And actually, if you're staring at dodgy lampposts or whatever, you actually stop seeing after a bit. So it's like 1 power hour, and I think you get more engagement from that. I go litter picking with Pick Up for Pendle, and sometimes if it's raining, 2 hours, really, you're looking at your watch, you're thinking, oh no, I've got 45 minutes left to go. So I think if we sell it as an hour, I think we'd get more people.
I just wanted to say that Corn in Bloom, it's not just about the flowers. We've fixed the telephone box door, which was opened. We've just dusted down Wallace Hartley and done the memorial poppies, swept up there. So there are people that want to do this on a regular basis, and yeah, I'm really supporting this initiative, yeah.
Why does it have to be the same hour or 2 hours in different areas? Can different areas not have their hour? If there are half a dozen people in one area that can do it, but not at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, can they not do their hour in their area and report back somewhere?
Are you suggesting that people do it individually, not in a group?
No.
No.
As individual groups.
Okay, yeah.
Because like Mary said, I could come at 7 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm useless because I can see plenty, I just can't walk. But there are people that work that would like to do this.
Yeah. It would be, yeah. I think it would be great to offer different times, but the point always used to be that we did the same areas once a year, and that gave us the snapshot of, oh, this has got worse, or oh, isn't this better? So I think that's a really positive thing that we want to hold on to if we can.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, what did FES agree to? Because I'm thinking that it might be different than what. No?
It was 2 hours from the landsman, so the way, sorry. I believe it was 2 hours.
It was only the allocation of the lengths person, just in case. Time for it. That was it. That he would be allocated to that, and a little bit of back office work to press buttons here and there. Can't remember the exact detail.
Yeah, I think it was just that basically. The length was time, a portfolio of standard emails, communications to the right kind of people to complain about certain things in whatever area it is that's visited.
Praise people as well.
And obviously also to praise people as well. Yeah.
Application is 21/0259/FUL. It's Forward Street, Conan. It's the erection of a garage. Any issues? Any comments?
The plans don't really show you anything, and the only time that members of the public, I think, would see is walking on the path that ends up at the bottom of Carry Lane. So it's right in the corner of that. It's just a, yeah.
No comment. Yeah. Jonathan.
I walk past this quite a lot, and I'm pretty sure he's already got a garage there and it's a wreck. So I suspect he's getting shut of it and building a new one.
Information. So no comment, right. Item 2 is 21/0463/FUL to 127 Albert Road, Colne. It's a new shop window, shop and tile surround. Retrospective.
This is a horror. I spotted this, put it down for enforcement. They've actually stuck horrible sort of pale yellow Manchester Armdale tiles onto the stone, like the stone's a thing they want to cover up. It's plastic, it's illuminated, it's bad. I mean, what was there before is bad. This is worse. After the enforcement officer got involved, they said that they would submit a planning application within the conservation area for the thing that they have put there. I think that we should, I hope that you agree with me, this is not an ornament to our town. This should be resisted and not passed within the Albert Road conservation area. And I've called it in.
The picture on the screen,
Looks fine.
which shop are we talking about here? Is it the Doghouse or the Unicorn?
The Unicorn.
Do we have any pictures at all?
No, there was a picture on the website, on the planning website, a photograph.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The problem is that rose had umpteen different businesses in it. The one at the corner, the one actually on the corner, I don't think is functioning now. But I can't remember what it's called. Oh, the dog place, isn't it now? That used to be the place that sold fancy yogurts and ice creams and what have you. It's not exactly in keeping with the conservation area either. So I think we're on dodgy ground if we start saying this one, but yeah. Well, it still is. I think it's just different people. It's on the heritage statement, bit of photographs of it. There you go.
Plastic with tiles on. You can see the ones next to it do look much better, in fact.
And it's one of the places where you look at when you're driving up or down.
Yeah.
It's quite prominent. I thought it was really helpful.
Sorry. I apologise. I think I was probably blinded by the orphans. I think it's the shape of them. The shape of them is that sort of arm-daily, you know, not like Barking Farms.
So are we happy to what we say was object?
Yeah.
I think you've got to say, Chairman, if plastic benches are not appropriate for the conservation area, that is a garden. End of. Across the road is a crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Twice each of this. The material palette, the unnecessariness of tiling over stone, the UPVC windows, and the illuminated sidewalks. It's basically all of it.
So we're just saying it's unsuitable for a conservation area.
I think you should list why. I think you should list why. List why.
Unsuitable materials.
although it looks relatively innocuous, it does change the look of this estate, which has these open plan gardens. And there's been a very, very good planning application with a lot of explanation behind it. But I think, and apparently it would be a different colour and so on, and they'd move it slightly. But I think really, if there's going to be anything, it should be a hedge. And actually the permitted development rights, they do not have the right to put this fence up. Quite a few neighbours have written in, so I have called this in as well.
What do other members think?
Sorry, Mary. Neil.
Oh, Neil, sorry, Neil.
You still hear me? So, it was told to leave the fence as is, and when you come round the corner, I think Sarah quoted in an email, harsh, and I agree, it does look harsh as you turn around the corner. However, his plans were, because he didn't like it like that anyway, to bring the fence further in, behind the two trees there, this TPOs on two trees, to bring it back in. So when you turn down Castle Road, you wouldn't see the fence. It's got into great detail to get the conservation people there, and when they dug the holes, they dug them by hand, so they didn't disrupt the roots. So where it is now, okay, it's not going to look like that at all. It's going to, the lats are only 1 metre high, and the next door neighbour is something, I think they fell out. A bit of history, before the people that lived there, this man mowed most of his lawn on the left hand side. But when they came, they wanted to put a fence up. It's only 1 metre high. So the neighbour next door has gone round, and the other neighbours have come and knocked on the door to him and said, well, he's told me you're putting a dog compound in. He's told me you're putting hardcore down. He's told me, I have the list of, actually in my car, and it's horrendous what this young man is going round. If you look across the road, I have pictures on my phone if you need to see them. There is a massive edge that restricts views. If you walk 50 metres and then look on the right hand side, there is the same fence sticking out right into the pathway, and the same fence, and nothing's been said. If you walk another 15 metres on the right hand side, there is a 6-foot fence, wood, that is plainly visible. So I think the next door neighbour has done a really good job in stirring things up for this young man. He's bent over backwards. He's going to paint the fence. He's seen a landscape gardener, how we can dress the fence up. So he's gone, above and beyond. So I'm happy for the fence to go ahead with the conditions that he brings it back in. You can't see it from the road. He paints it any shade that the council wants to paint. He wants to paint it. It is initially for to keep his dog within his area. His dog is deaf, and believe it or not, it understands sign language. When I was there, we would tell him to sit and all that sort of thing. It was really good. So this young man has, bent over backwards to please anybody and everybody. He's got all this expertise behind him that he's paid for himself. He's a new person. They've been there 6 months. He wants to get on with everybody, but he needs some security on his property. And the fence, the young man next door, for instance, I have photos, he was complaining that the fence restricted light into his front room, right? A 1 metre fence. And in front of his house is 4 30-foot trees. So if that gives you an idea of the mentality of the young man, he has a right to complain, as we all do. But I just think for some reason, because the young man's took back his land, and maybe 15, 20 square metres is took back, that's his anyway, He's took, an offence to that, and off he's gone on a mission. But I invite you all to go up and have a look, because it really, it shouldn't be coming here. It shouldn't be going to thing. Not now. But he'd been told to leave it as it is. He wanted to pull it down straight away because he didn't like it. He didn't like it was too out. When he turned the corner, he thought, oh, that's a bit much that. We'll bring it back behind the trees. So that's what's going to happen. If you go and see it today, it'll be where it is. And then after the meeting, hopefully, and it gets approved, he's going to bring it back in. And he has everybody there, all the expertise there, so we don't damage the roots and things like that. He's going to paint it any colour we want. He's going to address the fence. So eventually you won't see the fence. As Sarah said, see the bushes and things like that. He's been looking into, this is how deep he's going into it. He's looking into it, what sort of bushes would encompass a fence. Not sit beside it, but grow into it. I have pictures on here that actually the front fence on the right hand side, the actual bushes are growing through. So I'll bring on the area committee. I'll bring these photos. But it's just the man next door has caused so much problem for him, and that's how it is.
We've got that explanation from Neil. We've got Sarah, who still thinks it should be a hedge. But you've called it in there, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. No, my point is permitted development rights are there for a reason. It doesn't have right to build the fence. I think it's right that we have the full discussion at Conan Area Committee, listen to all the evidence and the expert points that Neil Watson will bring forward. And I think Neil is absolutely right. It's currently is a thing that you can go and see. And the applicant himself says it's in the wrong place and it is the wrong colour. So you are a bit with it, and that's actually hard to get out of your mind because you've seen the actual thing. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it. My just feeling is perhaps we should leave it alone then. Permitted development rights he doesn't have for this fence. He's applying for it. See what everybody else thinks, but perhaps it just needs to be played out at Conan Area Committee.
I just think if you went and saw it now, like Sarah said, it would stick in your mind and you go, no. Even he says no. I say no. But he's been told to leave it as it is. Now, if people are going to have a look at it, then I would suggest to him that he does the alterations yesterday. And then when you went and see it, you see it as it's going to be, not as it is. Because, when I took David Alvin round there, he was looking for the 6-foot fence. So we've got to give a little bit of whatever you want to call it, compassion or whatever. But as is now, everybody says no. Even him, he says no. But he's been told to leave it. So if it would make any difference, then we should advise him, because it's what he wants, to do what he wants, to bring the fence in. So you can't see it. And, to get edges around it, so you don't see the fence. He needs somewhere, his back garden is really minuscule, but he needs somewhere to keep his dog in. And it's only a metre high, any colour, bushes in it, brought back from the road. I don't see any harm in it at all. But I think we suggested to the young man to do what he's going to do now, before people go up and say, oh my God. Because that would stick in your head, and it's not going to be like that.
What do members feel about this?
I think you should do what Neil says, get it sorted now.
But I think it's already in the system, isn't it? Can't advise.
Chair, whatever happens with the planning permission, someone's going to be unhappy, either the neighbour or the applicant. I must say, when I read through the letters and everything on the council planning portal, it struck me that it was I was going to say 6 to 1 half a dozen. No, that's not right. It was 6 of one and maybe 1 of the other. The applicant, somewhere in amongst the documentation, when they checked about permitted development rights and what have you, the original planning application was, I can't remember the number now, but it's in the grounds of a house, or what was the grounds of a house, which I think goes to prove my point of never allow planning permissions in somebody's gardens when they've got a big house. But we are where we are. I'd be tempted to say that we had no objection to the revised plan, because my recollection of that little close is that, like Councillor Butterworth said, there are all sorts of bits and pieces there that in theory shouldn't be there, but are there. So you know, if we're going, if Pendle are going to refuse this and take action, you know, they'd need to take action on all the other bits on there that are not as they should be. So I'd be tempted to say that the revised plan is okay, and leave it at that. So I'll move that our comment is that we feel notwithstanding the objections and what have you, we feel that the revised plan is acceptable. So I'll move that.
So we've got that proposal and seconder. So people who are in favour of that, can you put your hands up, please? 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's carried, I think. Yeah. And of course, Sarah. Number 4 is 21/0476/HHO 59 of you, Conan. About this.
Yeah. I always, when people have wanted, I suppose technically it's just outside the green belt, but the actual extensions here are massive, and it just seemed, well, I couldn't get my head quite around there's a swimming pool and all sorts of stuff going in it, but the fact that the number of bedrooms is going up to about 7 or 8 from I forget the number that's there now. Is it 3? And also, one of the objections points out that if you hover over it on Google Maps, it says there's some sort of business there. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I just have reservations that it's putting the quart in a pint pot.
Yes, I've had some dealings with residents and neighbours on this one. I think with this one, I think as Howard points out, it is a significant expansion. It has had planning permission in the past for expansion. I think this is taking it to a much bigger level. I think I think we need to be looking at the overlooking of neighbours. That's one thing that's a big concern, something that big. I think the business aspect is an unusual one, because there is a business running there, but it's not running there, I don't believe. I've done some digging around on Company's House, and it seems to be a little sort of mobile business at the moment. But whether this means it's changing its role, again, I've asked the planning officer to have a think about this and ask some questions about it, because it does seem a significant step, which may be too much for that area, that location, and that purpose, whatever the purpose may be.
I do agree with this property, and I recommend you all vote for a site visit here, because you get a nice cup of taste of biscuits, and the view of where you eat your biscuits, and you property is nothing short of phenomenal. Okay? It's a stunning place, and they all play the game-ish along the road. You know, the fences are low, plenty of viewing. What they want to do next door, it obviously is a satellite business.
Is it going to be a spa?
We don't know.
Okay.
I'm just looking on Google Maps now, and it's registered as Karimi Cosmetic Surgery, so perhaps they use this spa after they've had the surgery.
Yeah. Be able to get his facelifts and his... yeah. It's got a balcony though. Sarah's favourite thing.
It's not Juliet.
Oh no, it's not Juliet.
Oh, if it... It'd be fine. I mean, the general rule of thumb used to be if you're not technically allowed to run a business from a domestic, I'm going to say domesticated, that's the wrong word, from an ordinary house, but that if you were using one room as an office, and that people would, the planning department always turned a blind eye. I think this just looks. Well, I think we should say it's too large, it'd be overbearing, and there's the question of overlooking. I'm not sure they have got fishing rights unless they're members of the Conan Angling Club, because that's what all the signs say stuck in it.
So it's, have you got that, Gina?
Yeah, I've just got, I object to the extensions as they're misproportioned and overbearing. It's too much, far too much for the area and the location. And the park, yeah, to mention something about parking.
Okay. Looking now, Gina, you mentioned the overlooking, potentially.
Overlooking. Yeah.
Potentially, and then we're not committing ourselves, we don't know.
Potentially overlooking.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a spa, there's going to be 3 families living there.
I think, just to clarify one or two things, by the way, just because if you hover on Google Maps, as you say, you do find a business name there, that is purely the business's registered address. So it could trade anywhere. I mean, just round the corner is All Fired Up the Pizza Van, and he supposedly has a trading place at the top of Bent Lane. But he's not, he's in a van. So you can drive around, that's right. And information freely available on Companies House shows you that Karimi Cosmetics is not actually, that's the name of the business, but the actual company is Karimi Enterprises Limited. It merely has fixed assets of £7,000, and it therefore is a sort of piece of kit which you presumably take to parties and do Botox for people. The person who is the director and owner of the business has other businesses based in Ashton-under-Lyne involved in property ownership and rental. So therefore, they could be cashing in, as you say, investing in Beverly Hills overlooking the lake. Who knows? So I think it's worthwhile asking, is there a business going to be run from this location? Therefore, as Howard points out, is it the right kind of scale of business? Is it 1 bedroom, or is it going to be the whole complex or not?
If you read the heritage statement that comes with this, you'd be of the impression that hardly anybody could see it. It's actually up off the road, very tall, and really prominent. And you look at what it's been proposed to be built with: cement cladding, wood effect, or metal with UPVC coating. And the application advises us that UPVC metal boarding is going to be put over all the fencing. I'm just feeling this is the wrong material palette. It's an uninspired flat roof design within a conservation area. It is highly prominent from Skipton Old Road in an elevated position. I have written to Rosemary Lyons. We'll see what she says, and if necessary, I'll call it in.
This drawing, didn't this be submitted last time? I'm sure we've seen we've seen something like this before, and it's like they've done the same thing again. So it's like, I think the default answer's got to be, we lack information.
Well, we now know what it's made of.
But we still know images or drawings, which we, This happened last time.
I think that's when you drove your car, Johnny.
It's exactly that. It actually says in it, we've given this information because of lack of information last time. And I opened the files up and I thought, well, it's all right saying it's in, I can't remember what the colour is. He quotes all sorts of colours, but they should, if they're that fussed about it, they should have put a picture of the panels proposed and everything. There's just, you can't tell. I mean, yes, it's prominent, but you can't really tell anything now that we didn't know last time.
Sarah?
I took away from it that it does have a flat roof, which would be inappropriate, and it's next door to a house where we turned down an extension with 2 flat roofs 3 times. David, I'm looking at you, a load of times. So, yeah, I agree. The design is lacking in information, but they tell us what it's made of. It clearly doesn't have a pitched roof. I think they go on a lot about the wooden doors at the back. Nobody can see them. So I just feel that it's wrong.
Chair, I would say we ought to comment that we're glad they've listened to the objections last time and made it more compatible with the conservation area. The original planning application was approved sometime in 2018, I think. Well, yeah, I think the bottom one is saying these are the new drawings, and the first one is saying this is what we've changed on it. From what I remember when I looked at it, it's actually now smaller than it was on the approval. It's actually on the right as you go up benches. There's the two old buildings there, and then this is immediately next to them as you go up the hill. It's a bit of working out that that's the south, but.
So is it this?
It looked okay to me on the things. I mean,
the first application, Chairman, is to discharge some existing conditions. The last one is a totally different thing altogether because that's a variation on an existing condition. The first one, it's very plain and simple. There's conditions on it. They've done the work and they've got to then submit. So I think accepted that those conditions have been adhered to, and as far as I can tell, they have.
Is that no comment then, or yeah?
Well, the last one is a different kettle of fish because the last one was about condition change. So through area variation. Yes.
if you look at it, it's got plans in brackets. I think what it's doing is change it. In the original planning application, the condition says to be built to plan number whatever it was. So it's changing that condition to the plans as now put in, which are those on the board, which say from memory that is a bit smaller now than the original. Two floors rather than three.
None received, Chair.
Items for a future month's agenda. This is your chance, councillors, to get something on the agenda if you want, that you're desperate and dying to have a discussion about. Yes, David.
I think we've touched on it before about the good old transfer of assets and services. I know Pendle's about to start its budget review, etc. Obviously there'll be a new chief exec and chief finance bloke coming in as well. So this is the chance to carry on again. When I've asked the question at Pendle level, I think they basically said that actually not many of the town or parish councils are interested beyond the things they've already taken on. Now, of course, that then means that things like the Mooney, the Market Hall, car parks, etc. are potentially at risk in the future if we don't decide to bite the bullet and take them on. So that's one thing. Second one, slightly more trivial one, but one which reflects a reaching out to younger people as we see with the Cone Youth Action Group, etc. Whilst we have Cone Town Council on Facebook, website, Twitter, etc. Instagram?
We definitely have us on the Blues on Instagram. I don't know if we've got the council itself. We can do that. No, Nathan's. So that's easy enough to...
It's almost like the broader point about, you know, how we communicate with the town. That's all. It's sort of broadening now the communication group or whatever use of social media, etc. Oh.
Just to say that with SEAG, we have Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We don't have TikTok, but we did meet some girls that wanted to do one on Skipton Road Park. Facebook is viewed by middle-aged people, their mothers. It's mothers. They write, they say, oh, is it at 5 o'clock? Mothers read Facebook. Twitter is read by sort of useful groups who could help you. So charities, other bodies, other stakeholders, and we get messages and so on from Twitter. And Instagram is entirely teenagers saying, why didn't you show my goal on your video? So we obviously wish to engage with as many people as we can. They are completely different demographics, we find.
In response to David's future assets to look at, it is on our to-do list. The honest answer, we just haven't got round to it yet because everything takes priority. Well, sorting out things like the gullies and things are taking the priority over it on our time. But it is on the list for us to investigate further, just as a...
No? Well then, the time of the next meeting is Tuesday the 17th of August.